The letter arrived on a Thursday, its edges yellowed with age, as if it had been tucked away in the shadows of time. The postmark was smudged, blurred by rain or neglect, but the return address stood stark and unyielding against the faded paper. Blackwater, Maine. Emma Parker sat at her kitchen table, the morning light filtering through dusty blinds, casting slatted shadows over the envelope. Her name was written in a jagged, frantic script she hadn't seen in over a decade, Sarah's handwriting. The sight of it coiled like a cold serpent in her chest. She hadn't heard from her cousin since their grandmother's funeral, an event etched into her memory like a scar. It had been a gray, rain-soaked day in October, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and wilting chrysanthemums. Sarah, then 16 and already a ghost of herself, had pulled Emma aside behind the old oak tree that marked the family plot. Her eyes had been wild, her breath sour with the metallic tang of fear. "There's something in the woods," she had whispered, her voice cracking. "They're not dead. They're just hollow." Before Emma could ask what she meant, Sarah had vanished into the mist, her black dress dissolving into the gloom. The police called her a runaway. The family called her troubled. But Emma had always wondered. Now, here was proof that Sarah had been alive long after that day, or so the letter claimed. The date stamped in the corner was 2 weeks ago. Sarah had been dead for 5 years. Emma's fingers trembled as she peeled open the envelope. The paper inside was brittle, the ink faded but legible. Asterisk, dear Emma, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. But it's not over. They're still here. The hollow ones. They've been here since the beginning, since the mines opened and the first blood was spilled. They feed on silence, on secrets. And now they're hungry again. I tried to stop them. I followed the whispers into the woods, into the tunnels. But they're everywhere. They wear faces like masks, Emma. They wear our asterisk faces. Don't go to Blackwater. Burn this letter. Forget me, Sarah asterisk. The words blurred as Emma's vision swam. She pressed a hand to her mouth, choking back a sob. For years she had dismissed the stories about Blackwater, the cursed mining town nestled deep in the Maine wilderness, the rumors of disappearances that never made headlines, the hushed warnings about figures seen lurking at the edge of the woods, their bodies too thin, their smiles too wide. But now, with both her parents gone and no one left to call family, the letter felt like a thread pulling her toward the only truth she had left. She packed her bags that afternoon. The drive north was a slow descent into unease. The highways narrowed into winding backroads, the pines crowding closer, their branches clawing at the sky. By the time Emma crossed the town limits, dusk had settled like a bruise over Blackwater. The town was a carcass, weathered clapboard houses slumped behind overgrown yards, their windows boarded shut. The main street was a graveyard of abandoned storefronts, a diner with its stools overturned, a pharmacy with shelves picked clean, a post office with its flag still hanging in tatters. The only sign of life was a flickering neon motel sign at the edge of town, vacancy. Emma parked outside the motel, her headlights cutting through the gloom. The lobby was a dim cave, the air thick with the smell of mildew and mothballs. Behind the counter sat an old man, his face a road map of wrinkles, his eyes milky and unblinking. "Help you?" he rasped, not looking up from a yellowed newspaper. "A room, please." He slid a key across the counter without a word. "Room 13. Checkouts at noon," he muttered. "Don't go out after dark." Emma forced a laugh. "Why? Bigfoot on the loose?" The man's gaze snapped to hers, sharp and sudden. "Ain't nothing out there that's alive," he said. The silence that followed was heavier than the key in her hand. Her room was a time capsule, floral wallpaper peeling at the seams, A lumpy bed with a quilt that smelled of stale cigarettes, a TV that hummed static even when unplugged. Emma tossed her bag onto the bed and pulled out Sarah's letter, reading it again by the dim glow of a bedside lamp. They were our faces. A shiver crawled up her spine. Outside, the wind moaned through the pines, a sound like voices tangled in the branches. She shouldn't have come, but as she stared at the letter, a memory surfaced. A childhood summer spent at their grandmother's cabin, Sarah leading her into the woods to hunt for fireflies. "They're like little ghosts," Sarah had said, cupping one in her hands. "But ghosts can't hurt you if you don't let them in." Emma had believed her then. Now, she wasn't so sure. Nightfall brought no peace. Emma lay awake, the motel room's clock ticking louder with each passing hour. At midnight, she gave up and stepped outside, the cold air biting her skin. The town was silent, the streets empty save for the skeletal shadows of trees. Then she saw them. Figures stood at the edge of the woods, their silhouettes too tall, too thin. Moonlight glinted off their faces, stretched into grotesque smiles, their eyes hollow pits. Emma froze. They didn't move. They didn't blink. They just watched. When she finally found the courage to look away, they were gone.